If you are planning your first trip to China, there are few things you absolutely need to know before you get on that plane. Because China is different, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's one of the most fascinating countries I have ever visited. But imagine landing in a country where your usual maps don't work properly, your favorite apps may be blocked, almost everyone pays with their phone, and you suddenly realize that you don't actually know how to order food. Sounds stressful? Don't worry, because in this video I'm going to show you 5 things I wish every first-time traveler knew before visiting China. I will tell you what apps to download, how to get around, how to pay, how to communicate, and one thing you should definitely do if you want to experience the real China. So let's get started. Let's start with something that can completely change your trip. Some of the apps you use every single day may not work in mainland China. Google Maps, YouTube, Gmail, and many other popular services may be inaccessible without a VPN. And here's the thing. You don't want to discover this when you have just landed after a 10-hour flight. Trust me, before you fly to China, prepare your phone. If you need a VPN, install it before you arrive. And this is extremely important. Don't just install a random VPN and assume it will work. I had one VPN that worked, which I found specially for China. Other random VPNs on my phone were useless. Check that your specific VPN actually works in mainland China, because once you are already there, you may have problems accessing the services you need to download or activate. So, do this while you are still at home. Download everything, log in and test it. And there is another problem that many tourists don't expect. Maps. You might think, okay, I will just download Google Maps before my trip and use it offline. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. In China, Google Maps can show incorrect locations for many places. You may look at the hotel on the map and think, perfect, it's right here. And then you arrive and it's actually somewhere else. So, when you are traveling around China, I strongly recommend learning to use a Chinese map app. I used Do Maps. Everything here is in Chinese and there is no option to switch to English, unfortunately, but please don't panic. You can enter the name in English and the map will understand it. Honestly, when I first saw this map, I thought, what is this? What? But after a few days, it became clear and convenient. I look at it now and think, wow, it's a good map, by the way. But okay, my advice. Before your trip, download Do Maps and spend a little time learning how to search for your hotel. You don't need to become an expert. You just need to know how to find your hotel on the first day. This one thing can save you a lot of stress. And the next, here is something I really loved about traveling around China: the public transport. The public transportation system is incredible, and one of the first things I recommend doing is Checking if you can get from the airport to your hotel by metro. In many Chinese cities, the metro is incredibly convenient, modern, clean, and comfortable. So, instead of immediately getting into a taxi, I often prefer taking the metro. You can literally land at the airport, take your luggage, go downstairs, and surprise, you are already on your way to the city. For me, this is one of the easiest ways to start exploring a new city. And it's also a great way to get your first impression of China. You are surrounded by local people, you see how the city moves, you start getting familiar with the transport system, and suddenly you are not just a tourist arriving at the hotel, you are already experiencing the city. But even the best transportation system won't help much if you don't have internet. Let's talk about communication. When you arrive in China, I strongly recommend arranging a reliable mobile connection as soon as possible. You can pre-register an eSIM. If your phone doesn't support an eSIM, you can sign up for roaming for the first day to ensure you have a smooth ride to your hotel, and then buy a physical SIM card. Having internet means having access to your maps, translator, transport information, and everything else you need. And speaking of things that make life easier, let's talk about the language barrier. A good translator becomes your best friend. Download a translator before your trip. And here's my favorite advice. Don't be afraid to ask for help. If something goes wrong, stay calm. China is generally a very safe country for tourists, and if you are lost or confused, there are usually people around who can help. You can also ask for Wi-Fi in a cafe, restaurant, or hotel if you need to solve a problem online. And honestly, I found that many people are curious about foreigners and are happy to help. Now that you have got internet and a way to communicate, there is one more thing you will use constantly in China: mobile paying for almost everything. This is probably one of the biggest cultural differences you will notice. China is incredibly cashless. You can buy coffee, food, groceries, street food, and use public transportation all with your phone. You will see QR codes everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And I mean everywhere. And sometimes you start wondering if China has more QR codes than people. Personally, I also recommend getting familiar with WeChat. It's not just a messaging app, it's basically an entire digital ecosystem. And depending on your setup, you can use it for communication and payments. But even if you prefer paying by phone, keep some cash with you. Always have a backup payment option. So, phone payment, yes. Some cash, also yes. That's my travel survival strategy. So now you have got your phone ready, your internet working, and your payments set up. There's just one more thing you should prepare for: crafts. Now we come to something that completely changed the way I traveled around China. China has more than 1 billion people, so you can probably imagine that popular places can get very busy. But here's the funny thing. Sometimes you will look at photos online and think, wow, this place looks so peaceful. Then you arrive and suddenly you are surrounded by thousands of people, especially at famous tourist attractions, popular viewpoints, shopping streets. So here is my number one strategy: wake up early. really early. When I was traveling in China, sometimes I woke up at 5 a.m. And yes, it sounds terrible, especially when you are on vacation, but believe me, it's worth it. And before we wrap up, here's one last tip that has saved me more than once. Save everything before you go. Create a folder on your phone with everything you need. Your hotel address, your passport copy, and etc. The key is to write it down not only in English but also in Chinese. Because sometimes the best travel preparation is simply making sure you don't have to solve a problem when you are tired, lost, or standing in the middle of a foreign city. Prepare everything at home, then when you arrive, you can relax, explore, and enjoy. So, preparing for your first trip to China isn't about packaging more things into your suitcase, it's about knowing what to expect before you arrive. Because once you have figured out these little things, you can spend less time solving problems and more time enjoying one of the most fascinating countries in the world. And trust me, China is a country that can surprise you in ways you never expect. So, if you are planning your first trip to China, save this video so you can come back to it before your flight. And if you love discovering Asia, traveling independently, and finding out what it is really like to visit these incredible countries, don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in the next adventure. Bye!